It's Monday. You know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And yes, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine for 2020, 2021, and of course in 2022. And certainly, folks, as also sponsored by the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. Without a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, the traffic will tell you the people's choice and the people's voice. And of course, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe, the most handsome face that runs the place here. Happy Monday to you all here on the 1st of July in 2024. And folks, I just got to tell you, I am so happy that it's July. I am so happy that we are done with the month of June. Folks, I don't know about you, but the month of June was absolutely insufferable. You know what I'm saying? All the heat. How many days do we have to deal with humidity, stuck indoors with the AC, obviously, having to make sure, listen, it's a good thing to look after your elderly neighbors, children, pets. I mean, that's how insufferable it was in the month of June, right, folks? Like all this heat, humidity, the heat index, can put a lot of us in danger, right? Sort of in danger of heat stroke. Folks, I don't know about you, but I'm just so happy the month of June is over. It's just I was counting the minutes until July 1st last night, folks, because you know what? I don't know about you, but the month of June just is insufferable for me with this heat. And I know for many of you, I'm sure you feel the exact same way. And again, I want to thank you all for tuning in here on the 1st of July. Once again, happy July to everybody. Of course, tune in from wherever and however you may be doing so right now, live on Facebook via StreamYard. Of course, on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as on LinkedIn, Twitter, and all of our social media platforms. And speaking of which, I cannot say enough, ladies and gentlemen, how grateful we all are at Jersey First for supporting us. Of course, thank you for liking Jersey First TV on Facebook. Of course, don't forget to like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe as well. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter with the handles right there. And of course, for all you YouTube subscribers, I know you're watching YouTube every single day for something, whether it's sports, politics, any sort of podcast. Hey, you're on YouTube, I'm sure on your phone, your tablet, your PC, your Mac. Hey, click on the subscribe button. You'll be automatically notified of all the exceptional content brought to you by Jersey First TV. And of course, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take our programming with you during these hot summer days, whether you're going down the shore, maybe you're just coming back from Tiki Monday, down in Point Pleasant, maybe you're visiting your in-laws, maybe you're just going clothes shopping for your kids for the upcoming school year. Maybe you're just running errands, walking your dog. I'm sure you have your smartphone with you, right? Well, guess what? Download Jersey First and take us with you anywhere at any time throughout the summer of 2024. And folks, I cannot say enough, quite frankly, the privilege I have to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's always Jersey First TV, educating and advocating for the people of the state of New Jersey every single week. Folks, I think we've come to learn we can't trust the liberal establishment media in New Jersey because all they do is lie to you. But that's something I will never do on this program, and neither will anyone else at Jersey First TV. Of course, brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday, hosted by the incredible Elizabeth Nader, and brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo and Stephen Rombolo also premiere on Thursdays via Jersey First TV. And of course, every Monday night, check your local listings, of course. Brand new episodes live and in living color of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe air every Monday night here on Jersey First TV. Folks, we got a jam-packed show. You don't want to go anywhere. You definitely want to stick around for final thoughts. I'm going to have a lot to say and bring you the best analysis of what happened last Thursday night during that embarrassing display by the President of the United States during that debate against the 45th president. Folks, I'm going to give you analysis that, quite frankly, is better thought out and much more analytical than some of the clowns in the establishment media here in New Jersey. And of course, when we talk about the clowns in establishment media, ladies and gentlemen, again, is anyone surprised? It's always the incompetent eight. We all know it's Jay Lassiter, Matt Friedman, Little Terry, Terrence McDonald, Tommy Boy, Tom Moran, Chucky, Charles Style, Little Maxie, Max Pizarro, Uncle Dave, David Cruz, and of course, Sleepy Al, Alan Steinberg. Of course, I thought we had to maybe do a wellness check on these clowns last Thursday night into Friday morning because you didn't hear a peep from them on social media after that embarrassing display by Joe Biden on Thursday night. I'll tell you why, folks, they were quiet and why they should continue to be quiet. Of course, when we talk about sort of the main culprits, sort of the main suspects, or the most egregious examples, right, of people who coddle Joe Biden, of course, hey, it's always Tommy Boy Tom Moran from the Star-Ledger. Certainly, hey, it's always Sleepy Al, Alan Steinberg from Insider NJ. And of course, last but not least, folks, if there's anyone that coddles Joe Biden like an infant right after birth, right, as you're putting the baby in the crib, folks, you can always rely on Maxie, all right, Max Pizarro from Insider NJ. Of course, all the aforementioned, blatantly dishonest with their analysis of the debate last Thursday. I'll tell you why they're wrong, which is almost every minute of every day, but I'll tell you where I'm right. Definitely later on in final thoughts. And of course, folks, it is July 1st, and I just want to say thank you to everybody for the outstanding traffic for the month of June. 51,000 plus views on Facebook, YouTube combined, along with Twitter. Folks, again, all organic, nothing boosted. I'm not vaccinated. I don't believe in boosters or anything. So trust me when I tell you, this is as organic as it comes. I can't thank you enough, quite frankly, for helping to continue make Real Talk with Fernando Uribe and overwhelming success. And when I see these numbers, folks, I mean, as you can see there, I'm just laughing because, again, when we think about real traffic, not the traffic that, Mickey Mouse journalists in New Jersey have, like the only traffic they know is the one on Kennedy Boulevard, Route 3, the Garden State Parkway on a Friday. That's the traffic they know. But here on this show, folks, that's real traffic, courtesy of Real Talk via Jersey First TV. So I'll chirp a little bit, and you know what? F it. I'm going to brag about it because why not? It's not bragging if it's the truth. Well, more on that later during final thoughts. But folks, you know what? It's always a time to talk about politics on this program, whether we're talking about this election season in 2024. But of course, hey, like everything else, we have gubernatorial races, we have council races, we have county commissioner races next year. And of course, we have mayoral races coming up next year here in Hudson County. We have two big races, maybe some of the biggest in New Jersey with Hoboken and nearby Jersey City for me here in Hudson County. But we got mayoral races all over the state. And one race I think that is going to get a lot of attention out in Morris County, folks, is in the Township of Parsippany. And joining me tonight, one of the councilmen in the great Township of Parsippany. By the way, check out their township website at parsippany.net for all resources and great information concerning the Township of Parsippany. But he just announced this Saturday. And of course, I bring you the exclusives like nobody else can in New Jersey media, folks. And why not? Let's go to our councilman in the Township of Parsippany, a big fan of the show, apparently. He's my good friend, Justin Musella, joins us here live on Real Talk. Councilman, how are you?
Hey, Fernando, I'm doing great. I was really surprised to hear you complaining about the heat before when you started off, because usually you're bringing the heat.
Well, brother, I love that. My goodness, I love that one. Holy cow, wow.
But no, I just want to thank you so much for having me on. I've been a regular guest, throughout the years, and can't thank you enough for having me back on. And I wanted to make sure that I spoke to you right after we made our announcement on Saturday.
No, and certainly, and it's funny because, as you look at social media, look at sort of like Facebook memories, exactly a year ago around on this time was the last time we spoke. A very different Parsippany back in 2023. It's certainly not the case this year. You did announce this past Saturday, Justin, very nice crowd from what I saw. Gubernatorial candidate John Bramnick was in attendance. More on him later. I want to pick your thoughts on John Bramnick, certainly. But you announced very lively crowd. They were very sort of like very animated, very enthusiastic about your campaign. And I think the single biggest question I'm sure you're going to be getting as you go door to door, since the election is right, it's a little under a year. It's June of 2025, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So pretty much I'm sure the answer you're going to get when knocking on doors is, why is the councilman running for mayor?
Well, that's a great question. So when it comes to the answer, it's because Parsippany is on the wrong track right now. I think over the last 3 years, if you're a resident in town or you've been following the news of Parsippany, it's made the news for the wrong reasons. We've seen the skyrocketing cost of living get out of control in town with taxes going up 21%. We've seen homeowners gut punched with skyrocketing utility fees and those tax increases, while developers get 30-year tax breaks, which I thought is fundamentally unfair. And then we just see poor, effective constituent services coming from town hall, where we find people that I talk to every single day. They think Parsippany is changing, and it's not changing for the better. So I understand that, being a year out is a question I'll get a lot. But if you're a resident in town, I want people to know from me that there's change headed on the way, and that we're going to work the next year to make things better.
Justin, I got to ask you, man, because I got sources all around the state. I talk to a lot of people, and certainly, listen, I don't have the sources like other journalists, for example, like the best journalist out there, David Wildstein, where, he gets scoops at 4 a.m. I'm sleeping, he's working. But I made some phone calls since last week, and I know obviously you had reached out to me in April to come on the show. And coincidentally, obviously, you couldn't ask for better timing right after announcing this past Saturday. Boom, it's your first media interview that I'm aware of since Saturday. And,
right.
One of the things that I'm sort of hearing here, and again, it's important to sort of dispel the myths now, but the phone calls I make to some people, and again, I get the return calls back are, well, why is Justin doing this? The mayor, Mayor Barbario, excuse me, I always mispronounce his name. My apologies, Mayor. Again, all due respect. I keep hearing, sort of mixed reactions here, there, Justin. Like, he's doing a good job. He's trying to keep property taxes low. He seems to be well loved within the community and the nearby county. Morris County, obviously Parsippany is within there. Still one of the few red counties left in New Jersey. I keep hearing a lot of things about the mayor still being popular. And if that's the case, people asking me, well, why is Justin doing this?
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. Let's talk about that. I would say anybody that's a resident of town would sharply disagree with the fact that a good job has been done to keep this town affordable. I think, the residents that I talk to who grew up here, or seniors on fixed incomes, they can't afford to stay here anymore because of tax increases like 21% over the last 3 years are absolutely unsustainable. And I will never deny that I think that, Mayor Barbario is a nice person. I think that he does care about the town, but we have very strong political differences as it relates to what is the best way to solve our problems. And I think when it comes to the way that town hall is run, we continue to have people that come to council meetings that are pleading for help, but aren't getting answers from town hall. And the lack of responsiveness is a real large one, where if you listen to our council meetings, or you see the letters to the editor that go out to our local magazine, journals, and town newspapers, you'll see a much different story.
Justin, again, folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:15 here on the East Coast. My guest tonight is Parsippany Councilman and now mayoral candidate for June 2025. Justin Musella joins us live here on Real Talk. Folks, again, sharing is caring. It takes 2 seconds. Like, comment, share, and you're showing your love for Real Talk here tonight live on Jersey First TV. Justin, you talk about fundamental political differences between you and the mayor. You brought up an example, obviously, at council meetings where, let's say, residents, their grievances are not being heard. Again, not sort of, trying to maintain people's privacy. Of course, I don't want any names mentioned, but what are some concerns you feel that are being addressed by residents during the council meetings that either the mayor or your fellow council members are either A, not taking seriously, or B, not really acting on them?
Well, a big one is responsiveness, which is extremely important. I think if you talk to Parsippany residents or people that contact town hall, it is very slow to get a permit. It's very hard to get an answer from the mayor's office, and they come to our council meetings regularly to bring that up. And that's why I've mandated for my own self a same-day response policy. If you contact me, I'm going to call you or email you immediately, letting you know that I got your email while I'm also working a full-time job. And then additionally, I do office hours outside of the confines of town hall. I'll do them at a local business, or I'll go to Starbucks, where once a month residents can come to me. And I've probably met with well over 250 residents who had problems ranging from permits, potholes, issues with their utility company. Anything and anything that I can solve, I've been there to do that. But when we talk about sharp political differences, I want to bring up a very specific example. In December, we made news for the wrong reasons, which I alluded to earlier, where the administration rushed through 6 pilot deals. And for those who are not aware, pilots stand for payment in lieu of taxes. And what they are long-term tax exemptions. So it was a fundamentally flawed process whereby the administration pick and chose 6 specific developers that received these very generous deals, and residents railed against them. Documents that had no information were being put out in the public. Those deals were being voted on without any information on them. And it all culminated with almost 1,000 of his constituents coming out to a council meeting in December 28th saying that this was the wrong thing to do. So I think when you violate the public interest and you make deals that don't favor the community, that ties into where our sharp political differences are.
Folks, again, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:19 here on the East Coast. My guest is Parsippany Councilman and 2025 Parsippany mayoral candidate, Justin Musella, joins us here live on Real Talk. Again, folks, takes 2 seconds. Like, share, and comment. Show your love for Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Councilman, I got to say, though, again, as I make phone calls and I'm looking at my notes here and I'm looking at, people that reach out to me and, I'm sort of looking at notes here and people saying to me, hey, does Justin want to really go for this in the sense of, it's a local mayoral race. Oftentimes, again, and like anything else, the line has been much of a discussion as it was this year. We saw that it was sort of like the core of the U.S. Senate race for the Democrat Party on a statewide level. We know what ended up happening at the Republican level. We'll see what happens for 2025. Obviously, a court case could still decide this. But there's always that talk about next year where, hey, if the county line's still in effect, does Justin have a good chance here where Chairwoman Laura Ali, Morris County Committee people will come out strongly for you? I'm hearing some whispers yes. I'm hearing some whispers no. Does that concern you at all? Or are you more concerned about sort of the apparatus within town and not necessarily the voices out of town?
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that at all. My ideal scenario would be no line, so we can have a fair fight, him and I on the same line. I think that would be great. I would accept that. If he rejects a line, I'd be happy to reject the line, and we run. I think where our real strength will be is in our ability to organize in our network of in-town grassroots supporters. We have about 100 right now that have committed to volunteering, canvassing, door knocking, doing everything possible to send a message that the time for the Republican Party in town has come and they want to see drastic change. So I definitely understand there's going to be those skeptics out there, and they're welcome. I had a lot of skeptics, almost 4 years ago when I first ran in a very crowded and competitive primary. I was the youngest person with no municipal experience, and I went up against some pretty strong candidates. And it was through those grassroots efforts, door knocking relentlessly, and going to people and telling them that when you go send me to town hall, I will do everything in my power to fight to make your life better. And this is how I'm specifically going to change the town. And it was with that vision that I won as a councilman. And it's that same burning the midnight oil and burning desire that I have to change the town that I think will make the difference.
Justin, municipal races vary by municipality, as they say. Obviously, when we think about a mayoral race, we think about council races. So just give us some insight again for our viewers tonight that are not familiar with sort of like the makeup for Parsippany coming up in 2025. There is a mayoral race coming up.
Correct, with 2 council seats.
Okay, so not every council seat's up for grabs.
No, we have 5 council seats right now. We're all at large, so we all represent the entire town. And then we have the mayoral race in June of 2025, along with 2 council seats. of which one is mine. So when people ask if I'm ready for this, I'm going all in. It's the only way. You know, you and I have been to Atlantic City together, and you know the only way to win big is to go all in. And what better person to go all in on than is yourself?
Would some people, when some people are telling me, "Hey, by the way, you know, we're looking forward to hearing Justin's, you know, viewpoints, obviously on his campaign and everything else." Now, based on what you're telling me about the makeup of the way the election's set up next year, can you still run for your seat and for mayor, or are you like just willing to forego your seat?
Nor would I want to do that. I want to make it very clear to voters out there that I'm seeking this seriously. I'm giving up everything to do that, and it's a full-time commitment that I take very seriously. So it's running for mayor, and that's it.
Okay. Justin, one of the things that was interesting to me, obviously, you know, in my note taking, obviously talking to people, you know, around Morris County and nearby counties as well, is sort of your vision of what you want the town to be. And one of the whispers I keep hearing, or an issue maybe that's central to what the campaign's going to be, is about spending. Listen, I'm the only fiscal conservative out there in New Jersey media that's always, you know, hammering home about fiscal conservatism, about fiscal responsibility. I'm someone that sees, listen, we just saw it last week, right? We just saw it Sunday, well, actually Friday night. The emperor signed a brand new budget. Okay. Even more spending. I mean, really, I mean, listen, the budget's getting fatter than some chubby kid at a bakery. Okay. I mean, that's how much fat we're seeing in the state budget. And obviously, one of the things that always concerns me is at a local level, hey, yes, municipalities get dollars from Trenton, but we want to make sure the municipalities are spending responsibly, that, hey, property taxes are not skyrocketing. A case in point, you know, I'm very fortunate where I live. You know, my mayor also happens to be my state senator. So State Senator Stack understands the importance of property taxes and keeping them low. And, you know, when you look at Hudson County, for example, you know, as a homeowner myself, you know, Union City, the municipality I live in, has done a very good job under his leadership to keep property taxes low, while nearby municipalities, again, Justin, I walk 2 blocks, I look at Manhattan. So believe me, the property taxes are, you know, it speaks for
you
itself.
Get what you pay for there.
Exactly. But to his credit, our mayor and state senator has done a great job in keeping property taxes low. We can't say the same for every mayor in New Jersey, and nor would we, you know, be able to say that. But having spoken about that topic, we talk about property taxes. We all talk about spending. And an issue I know that it's come to my attention is, for example, in town services, and one department that I know gets a lot of scorn throughout New Jersey is public works. And DPW consumes a large chunk of a lot of budgets in municipalities around the state. What can you tell us about what you would like to do with DPW should you be elected mayor?
Well, that's a really good question. There's a lot to tackle there. First, I can say with Parsippany's DPW, our sanitation guys, we have the best in the county and maybe even the state. When I first got elected, you know, that was critical for me, was to figure out what services we do well, what services can be improved. And the way you do that, just like in the business world, where, you know, that's my full-time job, is hearing the feedback from your customers. And as I go around town, our residents rave about all of our sanitation workers. So they don't really make up the biggest portion of Parsippany's budget. You know, they're well below the police, but they do provide a really important service. Some of the things that I would love to do, one of the perennial issues in Parsippany is that there are millions of dollars of vacant jobs that haven't been filled from previous administrations. It's something that I've said that we should trim down on as a way to balance our budget, but others have disagreed. And what I would do is I would try and reinvest more in our sanitation, so that way we can eventually make it a shared service, something that we can do with other towns and have that enterprising attitude where we can bring in more revenues while continuing to maintain a great service. So since I've been elected, what is always top of mind is being aware and investigating how can we make things 10 times better at a tenth of the cost.
Justin, when we hear the term shared services, I mean, that sometimes, gets people's attention. It makes them concerned, it makes them worried. I know, obviously, gubernatorial candidate Steve Sweeney, when he was state senate president, was very much about that all the way down in Southwest Jersey. Very different part of the state, certainly very different than Morris County. But again, it's sort of the issue of, is shared services maybe the best way to go when it comes to something as vital as DPW, sanitation, everything else that DPW is comprised of? Would that ultimately be really the wise path to pursue?
It could be. It's something to investigate, and it's something that I will always do. I will exhaust every single possible avenue for our residents to find out what can give a better service at a lower cost, or how we can bring in new revenue sources. Just because we investigate it doesn't mean we'll pursue it. But what makes, to tie into your question, you are right. Some towns shouldn't share services, but what makes Parsippany uniquely geared to share services is we do have the largest workforce in Morris County because we are the largest town, and our geographic position along with our highways makes it very nimble and accessible for us to go into other towns and quickly come back. So it's definitely worth more investigation if I were mayor, of something to do, because I think that we're uniquely situated to be a leader here in the county. And that's what I would do, continue to restore Parsippany as the envy in the county.
Justin, when I think about municipal services, obviously we just talked about DPW. Another service that's very important to me, because again, just sort of as attached as I was to my grandma, but here where I live in city, our mayor does an incredible job with seniors, and an incredible job with providing senior services in a department that really is so, responsive to senior needs, whether it was pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID. I mean, during the holiday season, even during the month of June. I mean, again, as I talked about at the start of the show, I mean, the month of June to me is insufferable with the heat, and it's ridiculous. And, we obviously have to look after our pets, look after our children, but more importantly, look after our elderly neighbors. I keep hearing that, hey, listen, there should be better senior services in Parsippany. Should you be elected, how would you want to address services for seniors?
Well, we have some buses that go around town right now for the seniors, and these are old, outdated buses that are about $500,000 a year. And I've been interested in trying to see if we can monetize the service by attaching advertising to these buses, or trying to see if we can provide a more customized service to our seniors by utilizing some of the popular services like Uber and Lyft that would be personalized for them. So we do have some senior services in town, something I'm very keen on trying to improve. But when I talk to seniors, they want affordability. That's the biggest thing that is top of mind to them, is because they're on a fixed income. And when you have tax increase after utility increase, it really makes them think twice about how long they can stay here. So I want to do everything possible to hold the line on taxes to make it affordable for everybody. And then once we've stabilized the finances of the town, we can start seeing how we can do things better for our seniors.
You just mentioned about busing services for seniors. Are we talking about maybe privatizing that, where that would be better for the town, or just for clarity purposes?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say privatizing. What I would say is that looking at alternative providers that might be able to provide the service better. These are outdated vehicles, enhancing the fleet with newer vehicles that cost less money from fuel. I'm open to every single option, but one of the single biggest, hardest problems for me is that the mayor in our town, and I'm not casting stones against the current mayor, but in our form of government, all of that is on the administration. So the mayor is in charge of every single service, every single town employee, how they're provided, how much money is spent. And as a councilman, it's really not in our function to start seeing how we can do things differently from the municipal workforce perspective. And that's why having a mayor who has that private sector experience and is focused on doing things better at a lower cost, that is obsessed with providing that white glove service to our residents, I think could really make our town flourish and could enhance a lot of our services.
Folks, again, if you just joined us right now, it is 6:30, right on the dot here on the East Coast. My guest tonight is Parsippany Township Councilman and 2025 mayoral candidate, Justin Musella, joining us live here on Real Talk. Folks, it takes 2 seconds. Sharing is caring. Like, comment, share. Everybody that you know how much you love Real Talk here with Jersey First TV. Justin, sometimes campaigns get personal.
You're telling me.
What's that?
You're telling me.
and sometimes, it can get fickle. It can get chippy. Are we seeing that in Parsippany right now between you and the mayor, or is it too early to sort of put that out there where you're like, hey, I just want to run. I feel like I do a better job. Or is there some personal feelings here that maybe people, at least it brought to my attention, that there's a little fickleness here between you and the mayor? Any truth to that, sir?
You can do your own research and you can see what one side says about the other. I have always made it about the issue. My political differences have never impacted how I personally feel about the mayor. As I said before, I think he's a nice guy. I've been critical of who he surrounds himself with that I think are the wrong people. But beyond that, no, you're not going to see a personal campaign waged on my side, because that's not how I got elected.
I mean, Justin, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
When you say that, for example, I mean, obviously, I can't. I mean, you're throwing me a softball. I got to go swing at it.
Sure.
When you're saying to me that maybe there's some issues, or you take issue with some people the mayor surrounds himself with, are we talking about council people? Are we talking about government? Are we talking about people at town hall?
What I would say is that one of the historical criticisms is that the mayor surrounds himself with people that like to make money off the town through the connections that they have at town hall, and that has been problematic. And that was one of the other factors about the pilot process that made people so incensed. There was a very controversial figure in the previous administration that represented all of the developers receiving the pilot agreements. And the perception was, because that person was the top political ally of the mayor, it was a very compromised process. But to get back to your original point, I will not make the campaign personal. That I don't think that makes one resident's life better if him and I cast personal stones at each other. I think if we make it about the issues and the issues that people care about, because that's ultimately what I want to do, is make life better and explain how my candidacy will accomplish that. And that's where I'm going to keep the conversation.
Justin, at a municipal level, obviously, when we talk about, let's say, county races, legislative races, statewide races, obviously party matters. But at a municipal level, is this a nonpartisan election where, again, I know you're a Republican, the mayor's a Republican, but is this a primary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Republican primary.
Okay, and for all intents and purposes, at least from recent elections, are there Democrat Party challengers for mayor?
The Democrats in our town tend not to have primaries. I think the previous mayor, who was a Democrat, he did have somebody run against him in the primary. But it's anybody's constitutional right to run. So generally, when there is a mayoral contest, you do see some primaries. When I ran last time, there were 3 people that ran for mayor at that time. So generally, it does have a little bit of a crowded nature to it.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because it almost seems like, hey, if whoever wins the primary is going to go on to win, because of sort of like the voter registration makeup of Parsippany. Obviously, there aren't as many Democrats as Republicans. So for all intents and purposes, whoever wins the Republican primary would go on to win, maybe not easily, but would have a decisive advantage. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's a safe statement. I would say that anybody that wins the Republican mayor, provided they put in the same legwork, fundraising, and campaign in a general election, should win in November of 2025.
Speaking of Democrats, Justin, some whispers I hear, and I think now's as good a time as ever to sort of air them out and sort of talk about it openly. Some whispers that, hey, Justin maybe at some point in time is donating to Democrats. Maybe not a good look for a Republican, especially a Republican running for mayor in an area that arguably is as red as my jacket in Morris County. How do you care to comment to those allegations? I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, what you might be referring to is the text message that was sent out on Saturday, the day that I announced. It was to a millennials organization almost 4 years ago. It was a minuscule amount, and at the time I donated, it was a nonpartisan organization. And once it became more left-leaning, I've stopped donating to it.
Okay, so just to be clear, that was how long ago?
That was in 2021 is when the donation was made.
Okay, and the organization that we're talking about is Millennials for New Jersey?
Correct.
Okay, well, I mean, I can just say this. I mean, having run into them at the League of Municipalities in Atlantic City and stop by their open bar, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're pretty left-leaning. I mean, they almost make Bernie Sanders look like conservative. It's kind of alarming.
Yeah, which is why I don't support it anymore.
Now, again, it's a primary. It's two Republicans running against each other. You know, it's not something that, we don't mix in national issues and even statewide issues. But there was somebody in attendance that got my attention on Saturday there at your rally and your announcement. And that was State Senator and 2025 gubernatorial candidate for the Republican Party, John Bramnick. Justin, listen, I'm the man that tells it like it is in New Jersey media, so I'm just going to put this out there. It depends who you talk to in Republican circles. John Bramnick's not the most well-liked guy. Some people might say, hey, this may not be a good look for Justin to have John Bramnick there for a municipal announcement. Do you care to comment as to the rapport you have with the state senator? And quite frankly, why did he attend?
Yeah, sure. So for some background, when I was running, very few people wanted to headline a fundraiser for me at the time when I had needed it. And I picked up the phone. I'd called, Senator Bramnick, and he did it without hesitation. He received a lot of pressure to back out, and he didn't do that, and he kept his word. So he's always been supportive of me. He's been, a good man, a man that I've come to respect, a man that has a successful law firm. So I was proud to have him at my event, and he's been supportive of me, before I really broke into politics. So when it comes to statewide and nationwide issues, will that bleed into Parsippany? No. We're going to run a local issue based campaign because, I have no influence over what's going to happen in the presidential election or what happens in DC, but the mayor of our town has tremendous influence on the future of our town. And that's why we're going to talk about the issues that people care about.
Certainly, Justin. So it sort of begs the question of, and I hate to put certain people on the spot here tonight, because I'm sure they're going to reach out to me. I'm sure my phone will blow up within the hour. But at this point, again, at a local level, do you anticipate significant support from the Morris County Republican Party, whether it's Chairwoman Laura Ali, committee people, nearby mayors? That's always a big question is, hey, yeah, you're running in town, you're going to knock on doors, you're going to try to get as much support, obviously, from every registered voter in the Township of Parsippany. But do you feel confident that you can win over some of these endorsements? And again, whether or not they make or break an election, we don't know. We'll find out. But do you feel confident you can get those endorsements that ultimately get someone across the finish line?
I think as a rule, endorsements really don't matter. If you'll remember in Morris County, there was an assemblywoman who had the endorsement, Assemblywoman DeCroce against Assemblyman now Barranco. At the time, she had every single endorsement from every single elected official throughout the county. And Christian Barranco at the time had none, but he won. So I don't think endorsements matter. What I think matters in a local election is not how much out-of-town support you have. It's always about the in-town, and it's about how many doors that you knock on, what issues you talk about, and do people genuinely believe that you're the right candidate who's going to make their life better in town? Are you the candidate that when they call you at 9 o'clock at night and they have an issue, town hall isn't open, can you help them? When they have a problem with a town worker, Are you the right person to arbitrate a dispute? When they want to walk into town hall, they want to see the mayor there. So I think that those are the things that people really want to see from an elected leader, somebody who's responsive, somebody who's accessible, and somebody who is going to do what they're going to say they're going to do. And I've kept every promise I've made since I've been elected. But I don't really think the out of town and external players are going to matter as much in our town as people might chalk them up to.
Justin, I got to ask you, man, going into 2025, it's going to be a very busy year in New Jersey politics for sure. Obviously, we have a gubernatorial race. Both parties are going to have very contested primaries, as we know. Certainly, there'll be mayoral races all throughout New Jersey. As I mentioned at the top of the program, here in Hudson County, Hoboken and Jersey City, one of the more, larger cities in the state, are going to have very hotly contested races for mayor, for council, obviously nearby in Bergen County, Essex County, all the way down in Atlantic County. It sort of begs the question because, again, we know that your star has been on the rise since you took office. I remember I had the privilege of interviewing you back in 2021 when I was with another news organization. And certainly, aside from my current teammate, Elizabeth Nader with Jersey First TV, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, it was either Elizabeth Nader and I were the only people that really gave you any press. And we did great interviews with you. Obviously, I think that, again, I don't want to take too much credit, but I think that our interviews did considerable, work to help you get across that finish line. Having said that, I keep hearing, hey, Justin Starr is on the rise. Why is he sort of, limiting himself to just running for mayor where, hey, he could maybe run again. And next year, legislatively, all 80 assembly seats are up for grabs. I keep hearing, hey, maybe Justin shouldn't have run for mayor. Maybe he should have run for an assembly seat because, again, his political capital is pretty high right now. Were those conversations had by anybody in your circle, or were you approached about it?
Well, we have good legislative. We have the three most conservative lawmakers: State Senator Joe Panaccio, Assemblyman Brian Bergen, Assemblyman Jay Weber. So from lawmakers who are on the right side of the issues, you really couldn't ask for better lawmakers. So I wouldn't run against any of those three. But in the local level, which is really what I'm passionate about, I love being here. And it was a frequent criticism I heard when I was running. He's going to run, and then he's going to go run for something else the moment he gets elected. And I haven't done that. I've told people that if you're voting for me for a 4-year commitment, it is a 4-year commitment that I take seriously. And so just as if you would be voting for me for mayor, I would be making that same commitment.
Now you're running obviously for mayor next year, and something that sort of coincides with the timeline. And again, not to sort of reference MCU language for all those comic book nerds, obviously, but within the same timeline though, Justin, obviously you're going to be a dad soon, God willing. By the year.
Yes.
Was that a motivation for you to run because of, again, you're going to be a father, God willing, by the end of this year. So as you're campaigning, and shout out to Mrs. Musella, who I think is a big fan of the show too.
We have to give her a shout out, or else she'll be mad at you.
Not sure if he's a fan of the show right now, taking you away.
She's probably watching. No, she's definitely watching.
I appreciate that. Shout out to Mrs. M for sure. Yeah. Some people might say, hey, that's another reason he's running, because he's going to be a dad. And obviously, once you become a dad, Justin, that raises the stakes for everything, doesn't it?
It makes you think long and hard about the future that you place your roots in. And when I found out that I was going to be a father, you think long and hard about what role models your son, my son will have to look up to, what type of leaders that they will have to look up to when they come of age. And when my son comes of age, I want my son to be proud of the work that I've done, to see somebody that's always stood by his word, somebody that's helped as many people as possible, and somebody that has also stood up and fought for what he's believed in, even if that he was alone. And I've on many occasions been forced to stand alone. And I think that's what, I would want my son to grow up, seeing. And if he enters the family business, down the line, hopefully I can be a role model. And hopefully in 18 years, you'll be here to interview him.
Oh, listen, I'd like to listen. I hope listen, 18 years. I don't know. I mean, not to show my age here. I'd like to be retired in 18 years. I don't know. I mean, I'm
No, I
trying to.
can't let you retire, man. Come on.
Well, you want? All right, good. I appreciate that.
You know I can't let you retire.
I appreciate that. Now, again, folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:44 here on the East Coast. Our guest tonight is Parsippany Councilman and 2025 mayoral candidate Justin Musella. Join us here live on the program. Again, folks, takes 2 seconds. Sharing is caring. Like, comment, and share right now here on Jersey First TV. Justin, we've talked to Justin Musella, the candidate, and maybe for someone watching you for the very first time, again, it's been a year since you've been on the program. You've been very, very busy. But let's get to know Justin Musella, the guy. Instead of the candidate, the councilman, let's talk about Justin Musella, the regular, everyday guy. So, lightning round here. Obviously, let's get as many as we can in here as possible.
These are
MLB
the questions that I'm most nervous about. None of the political questions.
All right, we'll see. MLB, Yankees or Mets?
Yankees.
All right, same here. Not sure how this team's going to fare out, though. They're going through little struggles here. We'll see. Listen, we're a few weeks away from training camp. I'm excited. NFL, Giants, Jets, or Eagles?
Well, I'd probably go with the Jets. Coming from, my father's a lapsed Jets fan. So growing up, I had to experience that every Sunday. But, I always have to root for, the home team.
Okay. I mean, I'm a big Cowboy fan, as you know. And, obviously my dad's a big Jet fan. And listen, when he immigrated here from Colombia, the reason he's a Jet fan is because the first thing he saw was Joe Namath. So he was able to see a Super Bowl. He's been waiting for one ever since. God willing, maybe Aaron Rodgers is the man to deliver that for Jets. Yeah, we'll see. Hockey, Devils, Rangers, or Islanders?
Devils.
Devils, all right. Same here. Happy to see them be aggressive in free agency. We'll see what happens upcoming season. NBA, Knicks or Nets?
I'm not a big basketball fan. I'd be lying to you if I said I was. So for me, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, we're seeing, football, well, what I call football, obviously the global game. We're seeing the Euro Cup right now. We're seeing the Copa America. Listen, in 2 years, the World Cup of FIFA will be coming here to New Jersey, obviously the United States, Mexico, and Canada. I had the privilege of being at the American Dream Mall for their kickoff. Are you excited and also concerned? Because I think for me, infrastructure, transportation, still a disaster in New Jersey. Good idea to get the World Cup here, Justin?
We'll find out. The only way to find out is through, having it and seeing how that goes. But I think it's exciting. Look, whenever you do something big that is going to put your town or your state on the map, of course, there's going to be concerns. Like, for instance, Parsippany is going to be receiving a new Topgolf, just like the one that exists in Edison. And what that will do for our town is huge. It's going to put us on the map. It's going to rejuvenate our Route 46 corridor. But of course, when it was going through the planning phases, there was a lot of those same concerns, the impacts on infrastructure, traffic, and so forth. So I think the net benefit it'll be really big for our state. And I think it's something to celebrate.
Oh, certainly. Listen, it's a great first date spot. I've taken a lot of ladies over the years at Topgolf. It's a great, great spot there. Glad to see it'll be closer now instead of driving all the way to Edison. So if it's in Parsippany, good stuff there. MCU or DC?
I'm a Marvel guy. I think Marvel movies have been way better than DCU. I think Marvel all the way.
How excited are you from 1 to 10 for Deadpool Wolverine coming up in just maybe 3 weeks?
I'm really excited. Definitely going to see it. That's going to be a date night that I'll take my wife out for to see. I don't know if she'll love it, but I know I'm excited. I'm huge Deadpool.
I'm excited. I love Ryan Reynolds. It seems like he plays the same guy in every movie.
And they're bringing Hugh Jackman back. Yeah, and I think he was, really the genesis for all of the superhero movie franchises that came about. I mean, I remember when I was seeing Wolverine for the first time, and that was right at the time as the first Spider-Man back in the really early 2000s.
No, absolutely. And I remember, listen, when X-Men came out in 2000, to your point, and then obviously Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in
Yeah.
2002. Certainly, we've seen the multiverse, right? We've seen different Spider-Mans. Maybe some spoilers about some characters we haven't seen in a while. I think Sabretooth might be showing up here from the 2000 X-Men. Who knows?
Could be.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this Deadpool Wolverine movie. And of course, I'm excited for Captain America Brave New World in February. I think that's something to look forward to as well.
Yeah, well, those franchises are money makers for these film studios. So they're going to find a way to keep everything going in the end. Just like when you think Avengers was the end of it, look how many more new shows have come about, movies have come about. So, for as long as probably you and I will be around, there will be superhero movies.
Okay.
Just hopefully good ones.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen not the best of series on Disney, right? I mean, some good ones. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, some other series, not so much. We'll see.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think the MCU, they've been cooking. They have to get back to it. Hopefully, it starts with Deadpool and Wolverine in 3 weeks from this Thursday. Scale of 1 to 10, Justin, how hard were you laughing last Thursday night? I know I had a debate watch party here at my house. Listen, there wasn't enough alcohol in my home to suffice the amount of embarrassment that I felt as an American with the president of the United States not even able to formulate coherent sentences 10 minutes in. I thought,
Fernando, if I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying.
Yeah. That's right. It was embarrassing, wasn't
it?
It
was sad. I got to be honest. It was very sad.
I'm not a fan of, again, I'm not making fun of elderly abuse or anything like that, but that's what it felt like. It felt like Joe Biden was dragging her husband out there unnecessarily. And for 90 minutes, Donald Trump cleaned his clock. There's no way. And again, folks,
he had a very good debate.
Yes, folks, stick around for final thoughts. I'm going to have a big analysis on it in just a few moments. But Justin, when you look at that race and you look at, listen, I was in Wildwood for the rally there, obviously out in the Bronx as well. We've seen the president's popularity in New York and New Jersey. With the president's abysmal performance against the 45th president on Thursday night, obviously, A, Donald Trump doesn't need to debate Joe Biden again. And B, realistically, could we see New Jersey go red for the first time since George H.W. Bush in 1988?
Well, I would love to see nothing more than that. I'm an optimist, so I would love to see that. I feel the energy is out there. I feel people are enthusiastic. I see a lot of buyer's remorse with people who probably voted against, President Trump and saw what they brought in was far worse. Just look at your 401k. When we go food shopping every Sunday, that food bill that we get is probably twice as high as it was when President Trump was in office. And so I think for a lot of the just ordinary working people or younger families that are starting out like us, we definitely feel it. And we definitely see that elections have consequences. Who you vote for will definitely impact your wallet. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I let you go, Justin, again, I just want to say thank you. You're a guy that has believed in my media brand for some years now. I'm immensely grateful to you. Some of my colleagues in the establishment liberal media don't like me. That's okay. I don't like them either. But the point is that, doing podcasting, being a broadcast journalist, doing good interviews for starters, I think is ultimately the difference between me and everybody else. But I think more importantly, is getting quality guests on to have discussions and have conversations about the issues that matter most. I can't thank you enough for believing in my media brand. I appreciate you being a fan of the show and me. Always love running into you. It seems like I only run into you at the League of Municipalities.
Yeah, not often enough. Not often enough. And for the next year to see me, you're really only going to see me in Parsippany. So you're going to have to come here to run into me.
You know what? Fair enough for that one. But I appreciate your time. Justin, any handles right now? I want you to share any links or anything. I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
Yeah, sure. Well, I would just say, Fernando, as somebody, I remember when I was first running, there was not a lot of media sources that wanted to talk to me or have me on, and you were the exception. So, you've been somebody that I look up to, I listen to regularly, and I'm proud to come on and give you, the announcement. And if I do win my primary in 2025, I promise you'll be the first person I go on to discuss that. So, I can't thank you enough for, giving me the chance, allowing me to come on and answer a lot of the tough questions that you have, or questions that critics of mine have, and answering them. So thank you.
Listen, you're more than welcome. Justin, are you interested in debating the mayor? And if I can try to put that together, is that something you're receptive to?
I would do it as often as possible. So if you want to have a debate, I would prefer we do it in person. I would love to do it in person with a live audience. But if that can't be done, I'm happy to do a Zoom debate.
Well, I'll have to rely on you and the mayor to obviously find me a venue.
You might be the better person to reach out to him than me.
Oh, well, certainly, yes. I mean, obviously, I'll need some recommendations about the right venue in the Township of Parsippany, because I'd love to do it in person too. Again, listen, I understand that, StreamYard is a great platform. It allows me to, interview people much more, conveniently than in studio type of guest, which I get, that'd be better, but this is much more expedient. Obviously, it could certainly be convenient to candidates, but I agree. I think that an in-person debate with an audience would certainly, I think, benefit everybody. And listen, not to be braggadocious, but I don't think there'll be a better host than me. So I'm going to try to get that done.
No.
And I'll do my best here. But Justin, again, in advance, listen, congratulations on your announcement. Certainly, I appreciate coming on here, answering some tough questions. We'll talk to you on the campaign trail here. Shout out to Mrs. M out there, again, and we appreciate your time. And folks, he is Parsippany Councilman and 2025 mayoral candidate, Justin Musella, join us here live on Real Talk. Justin,
Thanks,
have a great
I'll see you soon.
Have a great 4th of July. God bless you. And we'll talk to you soon.
Happy 4th. God bless.
Take care.
Be well.
Folks, there. Good stuff with Parsippany Councilman Justin Musella. And folks, I got to tell you, this is a race you want to keep an eye out for sure. We know that Mayor Barbario is certainly popular in Parsippany. We know that Councilman Musella is also popular in Parsippany. We're going to see, again, as the rubber meets the road, as they say. It's a race I'll be covering on this program, as well as other mayoral races coming up into 2025. Obviously, a lot of mayoral races are in May. This one in Parsippany happens to be in June. Certainly, a lot of other mayoral races will be in November of 2025. But folks, I'll be covering all of them and much more here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Folks, don't go anywhere. You know what time it is. It's time for final thoughts. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I got to tell you, not sure what you were doing last Thursday night. I know I had a debate watch party here with members of the Pinnacle. Shout out to members of the Pinnacle there, of course. You tune in every single week. Danny Uribe, John Hines, Dante LeBoy, and everybody else, of course. It's always welcome at the Uribe Casa for debate watch parties. But folks, thank the Lord. And again, all my friends will tell you, Fernando always has this bar stocked and stocked. His fridge is always stocked. There's plenty of alcohol in this house. And folks, did we need it last Thursday night with the embarrassment of Joe Biden as the president of the United States. And within the first 10 minutes, folks, you could tell this was going to go south very quickly. Of course, as you can see there, a brand new CBS News poll will tell you, okay, again, you can't read it there, who has the mental and cognitive health to serve as president. As you can see there, an embarrassing 27% feel that President Joe Biden does, while a very convincing 50% feel that the 45th president, Donald Trump, does. When it comes to who has the mental and cognitive ability or health to serve as president, a whopping 72% felt that Joe Biden, the 46th president, does not have it, while only 49% felt that Donald Trump did not have it either. Folks, I think we saw it early on. We saw an embarrassment of a debate between the president of the United States and the 45th president. Okay? But let's go to some highlights here before I decide to sort of give you some analysis, because, folks, again, one of the more interesting things about last Thursday, right, was the fact that I felt like, hey, maybe we need to do a wellness check in the state of New Jersey for the incompetent aide here. We all know the liberal media coddles Joe Biden at all turns. We all know who they are. Little JJ, Jay Lassiter, little Maddie Friedman, little Terrence McDonald, Tommy Boy, Tom Moran, Chucky, you know, Charles Style, Uncle Dave, David Cruz, okay, Cowboy Max, Maxie, Max Pizarro, and of course, Sleepy Al, Alan Steinberg, who we all know, folks, have consistently done everything in their capacity to coddle and defend Joe Biden. Well, folks, again, last Thursday, it was indefensible. And I was checking Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I was like, let me see what these clowns have to opine. And I kind of thought to myself as I was telling everybody in the room, I'm like, I guarantee you none of these clowns have anything to say, because what can they say? Folks, we saw it already 10 minutes in. Let's go to cut one now, can we?
Do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Oh, my God, folks. I mean, that line in the first 10 minutes had me going. Folks, it's an embarrassment. And if you saw the look on the face of the 45th president, that's how hundreds of millions of people were looking at their TV screen last week. What in God's name is Joe Biden saying? What gibberish is coming out of his mouth? Folks, this idea, okay, let's be very clear about something. And again, this is the disservice that these clowns do to you every single week, right? Because anyone that's astute, like yours truly, knew this about Joe Biden 4 years ago. But enablers like this, and of course the national liberal media, have been blatantly lying to you. Because sure, they'll say, oh, the next day in North Carolina, Joe Biden was very lively in front of a crowd. Folks, you put a teleprompter in front of you that I can read from for 30 minutes and some people that are kissing my posterior, yeah, I might be a little energetic too. But when Joe Biden has nothing but a pen, a notepad, and a bottle of water in front of him, he, as they say, defecated the bed, folks. Maybe defecated his pants too, who knows? But the point is this. You saw it early on. The President of the United States incoherently trying to tell you that he deserves another 4 years, which we all know he doesn't. And one of the biggest lies early on, okay, by the President of the United States was having the audacity to talk about service members not dying under his watch. We all know that's a blatant lie. Now, again, not to reveal their names and the name of their son, but there are plenty of stories because of the botched departure from Afghanistan, that irresponsible pullout out of Afghanistan that President Joe Biden engaged in, that resulted in the deaths of Americans. You think these clowns would ever talk about? Of course not. That will require them, wait for it, that will require them to have that pesky 4-syllable word that all 8 of them struggle with, and that's integrity. There's never a lack of integrity on this show, folks. But again, Joe Biden early on blatantly lying to you about American servicemen and women not dying under his watch. Really? Hey, Joe, you might want to talk to these parents because I think they're going to disagree with you.
You know, the stumbling, bumbling buffoon that we have in the White House said what he said, had the audacity to say that under his watch that no military members have died. And the rage and the absolute disgust that I got from hearing him say that, I started yelling back at the TV. I just out of frustration. He's never acknowledged, not one time, any of our kids. He's never said their names, even to this day. I doubt very seriously that he even knows their names. And so last night was just another, what do you want to call it? Piece in the whole dang administration that they don't care, and it shows.
Folks, again, my heart goes out to these parents. And they're not the only parents out there, folks. There's other parents out there in the United States that have lost their kids because of irresponsible behavior by Joe Biden. But do you think for 1 second that these clowns behind me would even have the integrity or decency to address it? Of course not. Because they're too busy virtue signaling. Take your pick. If it's not Jay Lashman complaining about weed and how expensive it is in New Jersey, it's Matt Freeman talking about homegrown weed. Or Terrence McDonald, what a tough job he has having to work from a Dunkin' Donuts in Point Pleasant. Oh my God, my heart breaks for Terry. You actually have to leave the house and do some work? Really? Or Uncle Dave that's off for the summer. I mean, really, folks, I think crossing guards have more of a work ethic than David Cruz. Crossing guards who work all year, I think, have more of a work ethic than David Cruz. So that shouldn't surprise anyone. Okay? Those great men and women that even as we're off of the summer in school districts, right? Hey, school crossing guards are still working the street corners to make sure that pedestrians are safe against oncoming traffic. Okay? They're working all year. I mean, God forbid David Cruz ever did. You're right. School crossing guards do. Makes you wonder. Or Chucky with his usual Trump derangement syndrome. Okay? Or Cowboy Maxie with his usual Trump derangement syndrome. And speaking about the king of TDS, I mean, it's Alan Steinberg. You think Alan Steinberg was awake last Thursday during the debate? Of course not. It was 9 o'clock Eastern time. Alan Steinberg had his usual dinner at 4:35 p.m. and he went to bed at 4:55 p.m. You think he stayed awake for this? Of course not. You think Tom Moran, who's like in the same age group as Alan Steinberg, they're both in like their early 90s. You think they stayed awake? Of course not. They woke up the next morning and watched the highlights. Okay? But the ones with the leading Trump derangement syndrome, you can always rely on them for that. But my heart goes out to these parents. One of many blunders during these 4 years of Joe Biden. The irresponsible pullout of Afghanistan. Leaving weapons behind, leaving money behind, and leaving American servicemen and women behind. It's parents like that. Folks, your heart should ache for them when you have an irresponsible president like Joe Biden. Okay? But let's go into really the specifics of how irresponsible the review has been about the debate last Thursday. Let's start with Cowboy Maxie, okay? And it's interesting about Max. I mean, obviously, staying home watching the debate seems right up his alley. He never leaves his house to begin with to do any real work. So, I mean, really? Should we be surprised? But Max Mazzara had the egregious audacity to publish a column last week. And again, you would think, oh, the most critical moment in tonight's presidential debate. Well, the most critical moment was early on. The incompetence and ineptitude of Joe Biden. But of course, not leave it to Maxie to virtue signal and to harp on the same nonsense about January 6th, right? So, of course, Max goes on to say, Jersey native Dana Bash at the debate tonight, which is interesting because I didn't think Max stayed up for that. Again, another guy who was home all day. I'm surprised he even stayed up to watch the debate, right? I mean, Max isn't as old as, Alan and Tom, but, like Max, he's like, late 60s, maybe early 70s pushing, hey, kudos to you, Max, for staying awake for the debate at 9 o'clock Eastern. Right? Pressed former President Donald Trump on a critical point when asked if he would accept the results of the upcoming presidential election and oppose political violence. Maxie goes on to say, Trump, of course, did not accept the result of the 2020 election. In fact, on January 6th, told a crowd of supporters, quote, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Moments before those people marched to the U.S. Capitol, stormed the building, and attempted to prevent United States Vice President Mike Pence from certifying Joe Biden's victory over Trump. Pepper sprayed during the attack. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, a New Jersey native, suffered a pair of strokes the next day and died. Okay. First of all, that's a lie. More on that later, because that's all Max is good for. That's all Max can do. That's all he does is lie. Right? So before security hastened out of the Capitol under siege by a mob, Pence certified the result of the 2020 election, prompting Trump to tweet the following, quote, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. It was just one more in a series of hate-filled, seditionary, and insightful comments on a horrible day for the country as Americans watched the desecration of the United States Capitol by the followers of a spoiled and immature man who could not accept the loss and facilitate, as this country's most powerful office holder, a peaceful transition of power. Trump now faces felony charges related to this action and inaction on that fateful day. Well, newsflash, Maxie, again, if you watch the news today, I think the Supreme Court pretty much shut a hole in your argument. So, better luck next time, Max. Okay? But this is something, again, this is, you would think that during this debate, right, that showed how ill-prepared Joe Biden is. Okay? You saw it 10 minutes in. You would think that was the turning point right there and then. But again, Max Pizarro, like everybody else in the establishment media, harps on January 6th. On January 6th. Max, again, and I get maybe that cowboy hat's a little on too tight. Maybe it's kind of the circulation to your brain. But let me give you some facts here. Okay? I always find it funny when left-wing lunatics like Max Pizarro and the rest of, of the incompetent eight harp about January 6th. Folks, do you realize that a bunch of unarmed people, again, in the minds of them, were somehow going to take over the Capitol building? These people weren't armed, okay? They were never armed once, okay? Somehow we're supposed to believe that a bunch of unarmed civilians were going to take over the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., when there's video footage, obviously, that's been released already about Capitol Police allowing civilians to enter the Capitol building? That we've learned that Speaker of the House at the time, Nancy Pelosi, could have ordered additional security, but chose not to. We've seen that footage. Does Max ever talk about that? Of course not. That will require Max Pizarro, wait for it, Maxie, integrity. We all know Max doesn't have it. And he continues to, and again, my condolences to the family of Brian Sicknick. Certainly fulfilling his role as a Capitol Police officer. But what Max won't tell you is that when you read the autopsy report of Brian Sicknick, he died of natural causes. He won't tell you that because it doesn't suit his narrative. It doesn't suit the usual Trump derangement syndrome that comes out of Max Pizarro's mouth. Brian Sicknick, folks, again, my condolences to his family. Not smearing anybody. These are facts. Public record. Brian Sicknick died of natural causes. Not because of strokes or anything else. He died of natural causes. Folks, last time I looked, if you died of a stroke, you died of a stroke. That's documented in an autopsy. That's not the case in here. But Max Pizarro will harp on that point because he wants you to believe his lie. But that's all Max Pizarro is good for, is lying. But again, instead of looking at the debate in a very intellectually honest way, again, that will require Max Pizarro to be intellectual. We all know he can't be. He can be a cowboy or a wannabe cowboy, sure, and play dress up and play costume time with whoever. That's fine. But when it comes to being intellectually honest, folks, Max Pizarro isn't one of them. Speaking about being intellectually dishonest and blatantly disingenuous, folks, let's talk about Sleepy Al. Of course, you can check out that article. What a waste of bandwidth to read when it comes to Max Pizarro. Okay? You can't even read the rest of that column without falling asleep. So if you need, again, a cure for insomnia, check out Max Pizarro's columns. Speaking about if you ever suffer from insomnia, you can check out Alan Steinberg's columns. And this is what's really, really funny here. So let me just give you a little bit here of the nonsense and the gibberish coming out of Alan Steinberg. Okay. This was sent to me because certainly I am blocked on Twitter by Sleepy Al. So of course, he doesn't like all the times I've tagged him when I'm calling him out on his nonsense. So here's something that's really, really funny. Again, I'm not going to, he wrote a column. This column most accurately defines me and my beliefs regarding Donald Trump more than anything I have written. Folks, he's written garbage since 2018. Let's be fair about Alan Steinberg. But here's a really funny thing here. Okay, this was really funny. Here's a tweet that, oh my God, I was, I had to laugh. Oh my God. So Alan Steinberg, after the debate, writes, I'm not exaggerating. I will continue to be a proudly anti-fascist Trump journalist, which, again, Alan can't name one time in 4 years where Donald Trump was a fascist. Did he ever suspend constitutional government? Did he ever suspend the free press? Did he ever, I don't know, put people in jail? Did he ever put his political opponents in jail? Right? Or attempt to? Or have a Justice Department do that on his behalf? Oh, my bad. That wasn't the 45th president. That was the 46th president, Joe Biden, who Alan Steinberg just loves so much. But again, I get it. Al's like, 96, 97 years old. He's not going to remember these things. Okay? But this was really funny. He writes, I will be 75 in November. Folks, no one believes that. You look at Alan Steinberg, I mean, really? If he's 75, then folks, let's be honest, then I have a full head of hair. Okay? I have hair oozing out of my follicles, stretching all the way down to my shoulder blades. Okay? Let's stop with this. Okay, please. 75 in November. What's next, Alan? The Mets are going to win the World Series? Really? Okay. If he is elected, I fully expect that his fascist brown shirts, whatever that means, will have me arrested. I don't want to have to leave my family. Well, first of all, okay, in the 4 years of Donald Trump, not one journalist was ever arrested, Alan. This isn't Saudi Arabia. This isn't China. This isn't North Korea. This isn't Venezuela or Cuba or Nicaragua. Okay? Those things happen in communist countries. This isn't a communist country. It's not a fascist country either. It never was under Donald Trump. Okay? Not one journalist was ever incarcerated or imprisoned under the presidency of Donald Trump. Now, you going to jail? That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we never had to see your columns ever again. Folks, I got to tell you, that wouldn't be the worst thing for the United States of America. That certainly wouldn't be the worst thing for New Jersey residents, let's be honest. So, if Alan spent whatever days left in jail, I wouldn't be crying about it, let's be honest. So, okay. But this ridiculous panic by Alan Steinberg, folks, again, it's the typical Trump derangement syndrome and the hysteria that's perpetuated at Insider NJ. Not just with him. We got other clowns like Jay Lassiter, Bob Hennelly, contributors like John Van Vliet. Of course, it starts with its editor, Maxie, Cowboy Max Pizarro. Okay. And the rest of the contributors that go on there. Okay. Folks, again, no one's getting incarcerated. No journalists are going to jail. Okay. There's no dictatorship coming once Donald Trump wins on November 5th. Okay. But Alan, again, like Max Pizarro, Alan Steinberg likes to blatantly lie to you because Alan Steinberg likes to be dishonest. Okay. He can't accept that his boy Joe Biden defecated the bed on Thursday night, and it's indefensible. So now he wants to jump ship. Oh, maybe Joe Biden should step down. Folks, if you ever read Alan Steinberg's columns for the last 4 years or 5 years about Donald Trump and or Joe Biden, all you ever see is Alan Steinberg infatuated with Joe Biden. So now he wants to jump ship. Again, folks, if you ever want to look up disingenuous in the dictionary, number one, that's a prerequisite for employment at Insider NJ. But number two, folks, pick your pick. You can insert a picture of Jay Lassiter or Alan Steinberg or Bob Hennelly or Max Pizarro or John Van Vliet. Take your pick. When the going gets tough, we all know Alan likes to jump off the ship. Isn't there a saying or something about the rats jump off the ship pretty quickly? Well, yeah, that's what the rats are doing right now. But again, folks, it's a reminder about the lack of transparency that we see at garbage news sites like Insider NJ. Okay? You want to hear about transparency? I'll give you an example about transparency. I can just think of, for example, you know what? Let me just go up to a woman and say, hey, would you like to have sex with me for $1,000? And more likely, she may say, hey, yeah, sure, okay. Let's say I turn around 5 seconds later and say, hey, by the way, really, well, I thought about it. Would you have sex with me for like $100? And she turns around and she goes, what do you think I am? Well, my response would be, well, we've already established that. At this point, we're just finagling about the price. Folks, that's the level of transparency that you're getting with people like Alan Steinberg, Max Pizarro, Jay Lassiter, Bob, and the rest of the clowns at Insider NJ. Who, folks, if it if their life depended on it and they had to be intellectually honest, folks, I don't know what they do with themselves. Alan, no one's sending you to jail. Okay. No one wants you to go to jail. Okay. I wouldn't miss you. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing if you ended up in jail. But of course, that's not going to happen. And I don't believe in putting people in jail, journalists, no less. Being a journalist myself. But that's not going to happen. There's no dictatorship coming. There's no fascism coming. No one's sending you to jail, Alan. Again, and, you know, trust me, I wouldn't miss you. But that's not going to happen. So again, when we talk about being disingenuous, lacking transparency, and just blatantly being full of it, folks, leading the way is Alan Steinberg. But a close second, speaking of being disingenuous, right? Of course, last but not least, we can always rely on Tommy Boy, Tom Moran from the Star-Ledger. You want to talk about a guy? This is a guy who I was like, well, someone better do a wellness check on Tom Moran Thursday night or Friday morning, because he might have just, again, if there was a bridge nearby, I didn't like Tom's chances. Okay? Because all Tom Moran has done is defend Joe Biden. Now that the going gets tough, now that Joe Biden really showed you who he is, because folks, anybody who's really with any cognitive ability, like yours truly, not like the incompetent eight, could tell you that Joe Biden's been cognitively declining for years. I knew it. Plenty of millions of people saw it too. But you know who enabled it and hid it away, or maybe, you know, hid it away from Americans and their readers? Yeah, it's people like Tom Moran. You should really question where you get your news from, folks, because people like me that knew it already knew that Joe Biden's declining. He's been declining 4 years. Don't tell that to Tom Moran, who's been blatantly lying to you about how great Joe Biden's presidency has been. It has not been. Folks, inflation's still suffocating Americans. Interest rates are still suffocating Americans. Home purchases are on an all-time low because of interest rates being so high. Who can afford to buy a home? Fuel prices are still making it very difficult for Americans. Food prices as well. So whether it's deciding whether to put gas in your car to go to work, or how many groceries to buy, or whether to save up to buy a house or pay off credit card debt. Folks, again, this is Joe Biden's America. But again, Tom Moran, what does he know about that? He lives in his cozy little Jersey City apartment. Okay. Maybe leaves his house, I don't know, once a quarter. Gets terrified about going to Rutgers and seeing despicable students demonstrating on campus who are blatant anti-Semites. But he's scared of, I mean, I get it. If I was 5'2", 105 pounds, I'd be terrified as well. That's what Tom Moran is, folks. And again, you have to sort of look at these tweets for the last few days. I mean, folks, take your pick here about Tom Moran. Okay? Here's some good ones. Here's one that, whoa, let me tell you. Okay? Goes on to say, of course, Joe Biden writes, folks, I might not walk as easily or talk as smoothly as I used to. I might not debate as well as I used to, but what I do know is how to tell the truth. That's not true. Tell that to servicemen and women and tell that to their parents, Joe. That was a blatant lie among all the other lies you told Thursday night. But now all of a sudden, Tom Moran now, who he loved for so long, now Tom Moran has the audacity to write, but you're on a path to lose and unleash this maniac. Hand the baton to someone younger and more popular, please. Folks, you know what's really funny? Tom Moran would like you to believe that we didn't see this with Joe Biden. If it's not a teleprompter or shoot him up with Adderall or whatever other IV you're going to give him, like he was at the State of the Union or other appearances, folks, what you saw on Thursday when Joe Biden can't read from a teleprompter, okay, when he's not in front of a crowd that's just, you know, like a bunch of seals at the circus going, or, waiting for that little fish to get dangled in front of them at the circus. We saw who Joe Biden was on Thursday. An embarrassment. We knew it. I knew this the entire time. Unfortunately, people like Tom Moran didn't. He'd lie to you and tell you how cognitively strong Joe Biden is, how in great capacity he is, how presidential he is, what a great job he's doing, and how he deserves another 4 years. Now, all of a sudden, it's time to hand the baton to someone younger. Where was that talk 4 years ago, Tom? Again, that will require Tom Moran, just like Jon Steinberg, just like Max Pizarro, and the rest of the incompetente, to have that, wait for it, the 4-syllable word, integrity. He doesn't have it. Here's another tweet that caught my attention, which really, really kind of like ruffled my feathers a little bit, because here's another one here. I'm so grateful to Biden for what? High gas prices, food prices that make grocery shopping impossible, interest rates that are preventing Americans from buying homes or paying off credit card debts, fuel prices that are making it more difficult for them to travel this summer, whether to buy an airplane ticket or to travel on the road. But was grateful to Bader Ginsburg too, when her ego blocked her from stepping down when Obama could replace her. What exactly are you grateful for, Tom? What you should be grateful for is that you're still employed at the Star Ledger, because let's be honest. If it wasn't for the Star Ledger, what could Tom Moran really do? It's not being intellectually honest. It's not publishing informative columns. It's not being a good journalist. So what exactly is Tom Moran grateful for when it comes to Joe Biden? Yeah, it gives him material to talk about. Yeah, the ability to spew the usual propaganda. But here's the one that really, really got my attention. Okay. Here's one that really, really boiled my blood a little bit, because he felt the need to quote one of the more toxic women in New Jersey politics, and that's Julie Radzinski. Folks, you ever wonder why New Jersey is in the shape it's in? Highest property tax in the country. Gas tax keeps going up. Irresponsible spending. You know who you can thank for that? Among many people. Julie Radzinski, the operative who decided to jump on board the Phil Murphy train in 2017, knowing full well how destructive his progressive policy was going to be for New Jersey, and she still did it. Why? I mean, I get it, folks. If you're a hired gun and you go up to the highest bidder, sure. But folks, the last person that should be bitching and moaning about New Jersey is Julie Radzinski. Because the reason it's in the shape it's in, you can thank someone like Julie Radzinski. Right? So Julie Radzinski goes, before people call for Biden to drop, I'd like to see a high sample poll of black voters with an oversample of black women that gouges their views on Biden, Harris, others, and especially how they would react if delegates passed Harris for someone else. Of course, Tom Moran, it takes one hack to know the other. Me too, he writes. But wouldn't the result in November hinge on who is chosen instead? Question mark. What if Gretchen Whitmer is president, with Maryland Governor Wes Moore as vice president? Question mark. We'd have first woman president and a black VP as now, or alternatives like that. Folks, again, it's hard to take Julie Radzinski seriously when even she is not even denouncing the president of the United States. Because, folks, what we saw last Thursday was elderly abuse. That's what we saw. The debate was over. The former president walked off in his own power. He almost like literally skipped across the stage. That's how healthy and viable he is. Meanwhile, again, what CNN didn't want to show you was Joe Biden having to help the 46th president down 3 sets of stairs. Folks, there's a very real chance Joe Biden would have fallen down the stairs. That would not have been funny, because then we're stuck with potentially a President Kamala Harris. But that's elderly abuse. And I get it, Joe Biden's being a good wife, helping, her elderly husband down the stairs. But again, folks, you have to call it out what it was. It's elderly abuse. And I get it, Julie Radzinski would know about that. I mean, congratulations to her, right? She got married. Congratulations, Julie. You got married, right? Pretty elderly man from what I saw on Twitter, but hey, congratulations to you. Okay? You're the last person anyone should ever take seriously, Julie, when it comes to politics. Because what you did to my home state was help destroy it. So the less we hear of you and your opinions, the better. And for Tom Moran to cite you as a credible source, that tells me everything you need to know about Tom Moran. But again, folks, it's a reminder about what an embarrassment it was last week. Don't believe me? Here you go.
Bye.
Folks, how are you?
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Childcare, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker.
Never said
You're
that.
the sucker.
Never
You're the
said that.
loser.
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO.
The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world.
Folks, it's as simple as that. Okay? Joe Biden's a cognitive mess. We saw it on Thursday. We've been seeing it for years. Okay? But again, these clowns behind me for years have been lying to you and tell you how great Joe Biden is. And what a threat to democracy Donald Trump is. Folks, again, let me remind you all. 4 years Donald Trump. Great economic growth. No wars. I don't remember Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine during the presidency of Donald Trump. Oh, but it happened during the presidency of Joe Biden. Did we see turmoil in the Middle East like we're seeing it now? Did we see that under Donald Trump? Of course not. We see it under Joe Biden. We're seeing fuel prices suffocating Americans. Are we seeing gas prices suffocating Americans? Inflation, interest rates. Are we seeing a Justice Department running wild and going after political opponents of the president? We're seeing it. Right? But the incompetent ape would rather tell you or try to remind you what a threat to democracy Donald Trump is. Folks, the real threat to democracy is having a president who's cognitively declining by the minute. But again, that will require them to have what's called, wait for it, wait, 4-letter word again, integrity. We all know they don't have it. So I know that there's a lot of talk about, well, Joe Biden deserves, to be tested. We need to know the cognitive state of Joe Biden. Folks, we already know the cognitive state of Joe Biden. That's not the issue. The bigger issue is what we should be doing is giving a cognitive test to his supporters. Because how you can defend this is beyond me. So yeah, sure, Joe Biden's an easy target about cognitive decline and everything else. Folks, it's not so much about his cognitive state, but it's more so the concern about Joe Biden's supporters and their cognitive state. You want to start asking people to take cognitive tests? Start with these 8 clowns. Because let's be honest, folks, after last Thursday's debate, when it comes to being intellectually honest and leading the way and being disingenuous, folks, these 8, they lead the way. And that's what and folks, without a doubt, that's what I've been thinking about since last Thursday. I'll continue to think about it. Let's be fair. You know what? This election cycle, yeah, it's one of the most, perhaps the most important election of our lifetime. When we think about the media's job in providing you the best information, these clowns, they're not doing it. But you know who is? Fernando Uribe. Every week here on Jersey First TV. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, before we call it a night, again, I just want to thank you all. And again, that's my reaction behind me. 51,000 plus views for the month of June. And folks, by the way, I said at the top of the program, I'll say it again now. My God, I'm so thankful that we're done with the month of June. It was insufferable. Okay? June's insufferable for me, folks. The heat, the humidity, I mean, the inconvenience of having to travel. And folks, again, we see some serious scenarios presenting themselves. Okay? The heat index is dangerous for our seniors, for our children, for our pets. Again, I was ecstatic to see June come and go. Because let's be honest, folks, that's how insufferable June was. The heat, the humidity, folks, a heat index that can prove to be dangerous to a lot of people. So hopefully to everyone out there in the coming days, stay cool, stay hydrated. Again, look after your seniors, look after children, look after our pets. And again, folks, as we approach the 4th of July this Thursday, the 248th birthday of our great republic, let's take a minute and thank our founding fathers for fighting so hard against the oppression of King George in England, against the tyranny of taxation without representation. To General George Washington, our first American president, to our founding fathers signing the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia in Freedom Hall 248 years ago this Thursday. Happy birthday to the United States. And folks, we want to preserve democracy. We want to preserve our country. Well, yes, we're celebrating it on the 4th of July. Let's make sure we save our democracy and vote red on November 5th. But folks, when it comes to traffic, again, thank you enough. I'm so grateful to all of you. And really, without all of you at home, the traffic would not be possible. Okay? 51,000 plus views. Okay? 51,000 views. Not all organic, nothing boosted, no paid ads. Real traffic, folks. Not like the Mickey Mouse traffic we see with Mickey Mouse journalists. We all know what they are. I name them all the time. Okay? Real traffic here. Not the traffic you see on Candy Boulevard or Palisade Avenue or US Route 1 and 9 or the Turnpike or the Parkway. Folks, real traffic resides here with Real Talk on Jersey First TV. So every time I look at my numbers, folks, I just have to laugh because I know the haters, the stalkers, everyone's tuning in. To everyone that tunes in, that loves the show, I love you and thank you for supporting me. Family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, you name it. Thank you for supporting Real Talk. And to all the haters and stalkers, I know you're going to keep tuning in anyway because you just can't help yourselves. I love you too. Folks, that's our show for this week. Once again, I want to thank Parsippany Councilman Justin Musella, 2025, obviously also mayoral candidate, for a great and very informative conversation tonight here on Jersey First TV. Folks, if you missed any part of it, again, takes 2 seconds. Sharing is caring. Like, comment, and share. And let everybody know how much you love Real Talk on all of your social media platforms. Speaking of which, folks, again, I can't say it enough. Thank you for following us on Instagram and Twitter, liking us on Facebook, of course. Subscribe on YouTube if you're not already. Subscribe to all our great programming brought to you by Jersey First TV. And of course, folks, wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take it with you anywhere at any time during the summer months here in 2024. And again, I'm so grateful to be joined by the dream team of Garden State Media, folks. That's right. It's Jersey First TV, always educating and navigating for the residents of New Jersey here every single week. Of course, brand new episodes of The Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday night here on Jersey First TV, of course, via YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter as well. Also at jerseyfirst.org/TV. Shout out to the amazing Elizabeth Nader for her great programming with The Nader Narrative. And of course, shout out to Stephen Rombolo and AJ Malillo for their outstanding program, Bridging the Gap, that airs every Thursday. Also, via Jersey First TV. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say it enough. Brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe premiere every Monday night. Check your local listings for start times. And we appreciate, of course, all of your great support and devotion to the program here. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Real Talk here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 50 Latino and top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine for 2020, 2021, and 2022. Of course, along being sponsored by the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception, courtesy of the liberal establishment media here in New Jersey. Of course, folks, I'll continue to be the most handsome face that runs the place. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the people's choice and the people's voice. That's right. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy 4th of July. Please party responsibly. Again, folks, take care of yourself during this heat wave. Look after seniors. Look after our kids. Look after our pets, folks. Please party responsibly. Enjoy the 4th of July. Happy birthday. Happy 248th birthday to the greatest country in the world, our constitutional republic, the United States of America. Enjoy, folks, this Thursday. Again, to everybody, enjoy Independence Day weekend. We'll see you live next Monday night here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Again, please take care of yourselves. We appreciate you stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.